The information discussed on Talkin' Money with Jeff Tarbell is believed to be from reliable sources. However, no responsibility is assumed for inaccuracies. No statement made on this broadcast should be construed as a specific recommendation of a particular investment product. Views expressed are those of the speakers and do not necessarily represent those of CBS Radio. Use only as directed.
Smiles, everyone. Smiles. And prepare yourself for...
Show me the money!
Ladies and gentlemen, the radio broadcast experience designed to keep your wallet in top condition. It's Talkin' Money with Jeff Tarbell.
Talkin' money. Talkin' money.
More money, more money, more money.
And now entering the studio, your guru for fiscal fitness, Jeff Tarbell.
Right. How you doing? We are back on the road again. Actually, back on the radio again. We're not on last weekend.
I know.
Back.
I see your bags are packed with the material.
I got 45 tons of material here going to do too. We are starting our show every same way every week. Even though we're not in the studio, we'll still bring in the mind and the brilliance and the genius of Chris Verlotta, and then we'll get into what we're doing and how we're doing things. Chris, how you doing down there?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Good. What's happening in your world down there? We didn't get to talk last week. You must be all pent up.
Oh, yeah. Well, tomorrow is one of the biggest days of the year. It's the Manchester Derby. That's Manchester City versus Manchester United.
There's the applause for you there.
Yeah, I know. Everyone's excited for that. So if you're not a big soccer fan, tomorrow is one of those big games that you have to watch. It's one of the huge rivalries in the world right now. A couple years ago, when they're both going for the title, it was watched by 800 million people. So,
oh, geez.
So this is a game you're not going to want to miss. It's going to be very exciting. Every time they meet up, it's an exciting match. Lots of drama. So tomorrow should be good.
Very good. Hey, Chris, as always, I'd like to start off with an obscure quiz question for you. So this is baseball season, and we're getting so there's only like about a week left in the regular season, I think, and I'm guessing the Giants at this point aren't going to make it. But there was an interesting survey done on how umpire accuracy, how accurate they are and who benefits and who doesn't benefit. So, Chris, I'll give you your choice. You can either take the pitcher or the batter that has probably been most favored by inaccurate. Maybe the pitcher is easier because there's not. Oh, your choice. Which pitcher do you think has been most benefited by inaccurate calls? So basically, if it was a ball, it's been called a strike. You want to take a guess on that?
This year?
Yes.
Oh man, you're killing me. I'm not even.
And I'll give you. He will no longer be pitching after this year.
Andy Pettitte.
His buddy.
Mariano Rivera,
14.3% of all his pitches were outside of the strike zone and called a strike. And the batter, who's Carlos Quinton? Do you know him?
Yeah.
The batter? Chris doesn't know Carlos.
No.
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 Did we lose Chris there? Are you there, Chris?
No, I'm here.
Okay, you're there. So Carlos Quinton was the batter who was most likely favored by strikes that were not strikes. So anyway, that's our quiz question. And Chris, hang on, because we're going to give away today 3 sets of the Greg Raleigh Band tickets up to Hellwig Winery. That's coming up on September 28th. As you can probably tell from the background noise, John and I are not in studio. Kind of a last-minute audible, if you will. We decided we'd come down to, where are we, John? 13, is this it?
Yes.
1331 T Street. We are actually in the city of Sacramento on a Saturday morning.
At the Region Builders Department, I believe.
Yeah, downtownarena.org, their group is getting together today. This, I think, is the Builders Exchange building, and we are in the back parking lot. And you know what? There's probably 40 to 50 people down here this morning that were here since we got here. We got here about 8 o'clock.
Maybe 100.
Maybe? Yeah. The building up there. I can't see around the corner there, so they moved us in the back there. So we'll get Josh when he has a minute to come and talk about what's going on. But what we decided to do is come down. I think the event here was trying to get out and stir up some door hangers and people knocking on the doors. And obviously, if you're following along, many of you probably are. Maybe a few of you are not. And if you're not in the Sacramento area, maybe you don't care. But there is certainly a push on to try to get the new downtown arena built in the downtown plaza. and like all political battles, this one is going to get uglier before it gets prettier, I'm sure.
That's right, and this one's about jobs. I believe they're just promoting the amount of jobs it's going to bring to the Sacramento area.
Yep, so there's a lot of contractors and a lot of people down here, and just a good mix of people, and a lot of people listen to this show, so they're out and get ready to make a move on. And we'll talk to a few of the people that are here today as the show goes on, and get an idea what brings them down here. I did see during the week, and Chris, you can jump in there where you want because you follow this all week long. I did see that that the signatures that were in question that Mr. Hansen put up the money for somehow ended up in the hands of the Stop Group. Is that right, Chris?
Yeah, that's correct. That's what the Stop Group is saying.
Now, do we know, did Chris Hansen give those signatures over, or somebody else had them, they just finally found them?
I am not sure how that goes. He's been saying that he doesn't want them to get them, but it's one thing to say that you don't want them to have something.
Yeah, and he may not have had them.
Do
so
something about it.
Yeah, we'll ask Josh here in just a minute as he comes on. So you can use that microphone in the little bag there, Josh. So we'll wing this as we go live here today. So it looks like this group is about getting ready to take off. We'll get his headphones on there. How you doing? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes, you can. See, you got to undo the bag, the little zip bag. There you go.
There we go.
How you doing?
Doing really good.
So we're trying to figure out what's for John and I to come out, all the way down to the city of Sacramento. I live out in the middle of nowhere compared to here. What's the plan today? What's going on down here?
Well, today we have over 100 volunteers who came out today to help us support the arena project. And what we're doing is we're breaking up into groups. We're going to the neighborhoods where we know Stop was, and we're going to go out there into those neighborhoods, put out door hangers for people to be able to withdraw their name, but also we're going to try to talk to voters and tell them why the arena project is important.
So I was just asking, Chris is our board up there, and he's there at the studio all week long. I'm trying to figure out, so there was some signatures that were in question that were financed, we think, by Mr. Hansen, and he advocated he didn't want those to come public, but I'm not sure he had his hands on them. Do we know where those signatures came from and where they are?
Well, those signatures, those 18,000 signatures he paid for, were transferred over to Stop last week.
By who, do we know?
By Chris Hansen's political consultant.
Okay.
Chris Hansen says that it was done against his will. At the same time, how often does a consultant do something against their boss's will and still have a job? No one's been fired.
Yeah, that's interesting. So that'll be interesting to see how all this shakes out. So today the plan is you got a fair number of people here and different types of groups. So who's here and what is the goal for today? What do you guys want to accomplish?
Well, we have 100 people from business, labor, and from the grassroots Crown Downtown group. And basically what we want to accomplish today is we have identified the 16 precincts where Stop has actually sent walkers to those areas. And we've done that because where a precinct where someone would have gone for this is because people register to vote, people who they're also trying to get petitions for. So any neighborhood in Sacramento that's had at least 16 people sign up to register to vote in an area of about 300 homes, and that, in a time period of 1 to 2 days, that people were walking that neighborhood to get petitions. So that's how we identified them. So now we're going out to those neighborhoods to get the petition withdrawals. And, I think we're going to have a pretty good day. We've already been getting a ton of them.
Good. Now, do we, I know last time we were in the studio a few weeks ago, there was a discussion about whether you can have the city actually verify each signature, which rather than just kind of picking a random sample of 1% or 3% or whatever, actually just going through and making sure these are legitimate signatures. How are you guys coming on that end of things?
We have not got a response yet from the city clerk on that, but I think we're pretty confident that they're going to do that. There's been too many issues. It would almost be irresponsible for them at this point not to go through and verify each and every signature.
Okay, perfect. Well, I know you got things to do today. If you run across Dennis, send him over. We'll talk to him in a little bit too.
Okay, thank you.
And enjoy yourself and good luck to you. Appreciate that. That's Josh Wood, and Josh is part of the DowntownArena.org group. And we'll seal it off. Chris, are you picking us up all right down there? Because I'm hearing popping on this end. I'll just make sure we're still on. Okay, we're good. I think sometimes when you get a couple, 3 microphones going, it gets a little much for the fax line down there that we're using. I did note that you start talking about public facilities and public entities and public investment, and right out of Thursday's Wall Street Journal is a big article about art and airports and how this move on is for. You flip that one around here. There you go. how this move on is that all the public investment that's going on into different airports, and right off the top of the article, Wall Street Journal, you can take that right out of there. Wall Street Journal from Thursday, September 19th, has the big giant red rabbit right out of the airport.
Big giant red rabbit.
And then you flip over on page 2, and it's got all the luggage, the things, and so you ask yourself, and of course any of us who went through the airport, we spent almost $1 billion on that airport, and you ask yourself, how much did that rabbit cost us? Do we really need to have the rabbit investment in the airport? But it does add, so here you are in a worldwide newspaper, certainly a national newspaper, and the front number one biggest picture is the Sacramento International Airport. And I can't tell you, I've had a lot of people come into town recently, people that are either business partners of mine who haven't been into Sacramento for a long time, or haven't flown into Sacramento. And the last time they did, it was a little dinky, hub out there, and they walk through there, and their jaw drops when they come through that airport. And it does set a tone for, hey, this is our area, this is what we're doing, this is what we're about, we're putting some money into ourselves and investing in ourselves, and it really sets a nice feel for Sacramento. And so you could say, yeah, we don't need $1 billion airport, but what is that? These are business people that are coming into town, and so now every business person in the United States who gets the Wall Street Journal, which is a lot of them, now sees on the headlines, the Sacramento International Airport, promoting its new airport, and I just think it adds credibility to our area, and maybe you don't know who's thinking about expanding their business. Maybe they realize, they go, hey, maybe we should get out there and check that place out a little bit. And so I think it was an interesting article. The timing was good. And now here we are with Dennis. How you doing?
I'm doing very well, Jeff.
Good. So Dennis Rogers has joined us. What is your position, and what are you doing down here today?
I'm with the Sacramento Metro Chamber. I'm the Senior Vice President for Public Policy and Economic Development.
Okay. So what do you hope a day like this does for, and what do you want to see come out of this today and with the arena? What's your goal?
So the Chamber's support of the arena is based upon a very simple premise, and that is that an investment in the arena is the first part of a much larger project, and that project is going to do 1 million square feet of office building, north of $1 billion in investment in our downtown, and it's going to change the face of the downtown. I just got back from Philadelphia last night. We were there for a week on our study mission, 15th annual. We've gone to places like Philadelphia, we've gone to places like Austin, Texas, and Denver, and everywhere else. And one of the things that keeps coming back to us is that the next generation of workers, so I'm 46. I'm going to retire in 10 or 15 years, God willing. And the next generation of workers, the folks that are in their 20s and their 30s, what matters to them most is place. What matters to them is where they're going to live. They pick a place where they're going to live first and then look for a job. And so if you look at where they're moving, Oklahoma City they're moving. They have a new vibrant downtown with their arena. Denver, Austin, all of these places. Philadelphia, we just saw incredible stuff that's going down there. It all starts with a catalytic investment. We believe it's the arena, but the arena is just one small part of this. It's the $1 billion. It's the $7 billion in economic development. It's rechanging the face of our downtown to be a world-class destination that we all know it could be. That's why we live here. But that economic development opportunity exists because of that initial investment. I don't know if you've been, you obviously, since you're in the real estate business, have seen the articles and have heard the rumors in the community about the people that are looking at some of the office buildings that are proximate to there that haven't had any new tenants in there, that have not been updated, that haven't had any reinvestment since they were built. And people are starting to look at them. Some of them are beginning to go under contract. That's the kind of catalytic event that we're looking at. So the Kings are part of the story, but the real story, the real economic impact that's gonna make this place an economic power in a place where my daughter, who's 12, comes back 10 years from now when she graduates from college and finds a job, is going to be the investment around the arena, not the arena itself.
So let's play. I'll play the counter.
Okay.
Even though it's hard for me because I believe everything I've seen in person what you do. But so why is that different than a new building in Natomas? Let's say there's a big lot next to the building in Natomas. Let's say we do like the New York Yankees did. They went out in the outfield and built another one, and they destroyed that one. So is there a difference in your mind from doing something, a new building out in Natomas, or rehabbing that building versus coming downtown?
So, I think that the New York analogy is great. So real estate in New York is at a premium, right? They built it on a parking lot, and they tore it down, and they left it there. But if you were to actually go to Google Maps and look at that, that's an urban environment. It's really not a suburban environment. And if you look at the trend of where the sports facilities are going, they're going downtown. And that's because the next generation of workers, that's the one thing I just talked about, Jeff, it's incredibly important for us to realize that at some point we're going to have to replace the folks who are doing our work, right? And we are losing out every day if we don't have that sense of place because, as I said earlier, young people, the folks that are in their 20s and 30s, the people that are kind of the next generation of movers and shakers in the real estate business, for example, they're picking a place to live first and looking for a job second. And so if we don't have the type of amenities, and they list amenities like a vibrant downtown, the civic amenities, we have a big push in the chamber on civic amenities right now, where we're looking at not only museums, but the experiences that people have. Like one of the things that we consider to be a civic amenities is the off-road vehicle park on Prairie City, right?
Yep.
So it's not only museums, it's also everything. It's that experience. Well, the way that you create that experience is by activating your downtown. You have to have that catalytic event. So we could build something out there, but what would it do for the downtown? We've been trying for generations. This is this is our moment in time, and we either are going to grasp it or not. And I'll tackle it straight up. There are people that say, hey, the economics of arenas don't work, right? There's not the return. Well, okay, if you want to look at one individual project, great. Right? So you can take apart any project that comes in, a 40-story skyscraper, what's it going to be? But if you look at the totality of the investment that's going to happen in our downtown, in the place that is the core of our region, the return on investment is going to be huge. I mean, let's just talk business numbers. You put $250 million into it, and you're going to get $7 billion of investment back. I don't know about you, but I'll take that return on investment all day long. In fact, I'll take half that.
Yeah, I think that, and that was one of the comments that we had when we had the stop group on, was we'll probably only make a 1.5% return on the investment on this building, and I said, well, you know what, I'd even use the building as a loss leader, and maybe it becomes a loss leader, maybe you don't get your money dollar for dollar back on the building, but it's what comes with it, and it really is the anchor tenant, it's the spark that lets the bomb go off, and I've used the quoted a couple of guys from downtown. The minute that site was picked, you start talking to the commercial brokers, and they're already getting phone calls from around the nation saying, I want to be within certain degrees of the front door of this new building, and this, because I want to do a restaurant, I want to do my office, I want to do all these things right off the bat. I mean, that was just off the initial announcement. Hell, we haven't turned a shovel yet.
No.
And you look around, and I agree with you. The area is just prime for it, and I come back to, and although I never was there beforehand, I come back to the LA Live area, which is where Staples is, and then there's, I think, the Kodak Theater, and then the big ESPN zone. And people will tell me from LA that you wouldn't be caught dead in that area, Jeff. You would be caught dead in that area. And some people have also told me that where AT&T Park is now is also very similar in terms of just kind of that feel. And now, you walk from all over the place down there. It's just a place to be. So I'm with you. I think that the building, if to me, and I'm not a city resident, so it's easy for me to say this, but to me, if the anchor tenant broke even, and you hit a grand slam on everything else went around it, you hit a grand slam.
Well, you see, and I would even maybe take it a few degrees different on that. At the end of the day, the city owns the asset. They're putting $256 million into the building, and they own it. So the money's not going away. It's not like they're giving the building to someone else.
Good point. Yeah.
So they own it. So they're putting their money into their facility, right? And they're going to own that, and then the economic spinoff is going to be there. Now let's talk about how you're going to be able to attract jobs. It's right next to the freeway. You're going to be able to bring in folks that work in Roseville, in South Placer, the Highway 50 corridor, the Folsom, Rancho Cordova. They'll be able to drive down and drop off. They'll be able to go on light rail to come in there because it's proximate to light rail. All of the office buildings that come in there, if you're an office worker like I am in downtown, I happen to live in Folsom, but I work downtown every day, that's going to be fantastic. So I have a 12-year-old and an 8-year-old. we're gonna see some Kings games. We saw some Kings games last year, but we're also going to see the other things that come into town because of that we're not on that first hit list because they go to other facilities.
Right.
And so those are important from an entertainment standpoint. But I go back to two main points, and those two main points that I just want to hammer home to anyone who's listening. One is it's the additional 1 million square feet of office building as the catalytic event that's going to then create other investment opportunities because of that. And two, we have to have the next generation of workers come in. And those people have told us from study after study and actually visiting other places and asking them, the young professionals, what makes you choose this place? And they say it's a sense of place. It's the civic amenities that are there. The Metro Chamber has a program called Metro Edge, and we have about 800 young professionals under 40 that are part of our group, and we polled them, and they said, what makes them choose a place to put down roots? Because once they've decided to live in a community, that's the community they're going to be in. You're not going to uproot your family once it comes around. Is because of the experiences they can have. They can go to the Crocker. They can have brunch on the Sacramento River. These are all the things that make our community great. The American River Parkway, all of those things. But we need a vibrant downtown because that's the one piece of the puzzle that we're missing. And this is our opportunity. And we either take advantage of this opportunity today and the economic development that's going to happen, or we let someone else have it. And I hope that we won't, because it was interesting. I was out there talking. There's 80, 90 people out there today. And there was a gentleman out there who said, and it was very interesting to hear this. He said, I have probably a unique perspective on what's happening because I was in Kansas City when the Kings left. And he said, I don't want that happening again. I saw what happened to that downtown. And so here's, for us, someone that's lived it, and he's, a generation removed, and he's coming back and he's saying how important it is. It is, Jeff, it is, in my opinion, it's the single most important economic development issue that the Sacramento region has ever had the opportunity to have. I mean, if we want to diversify our economy, what better way can we have this by looking at some really rich, successful people now view the city of Sacramento as a positive business investment? If we'd have gone out there and walked around and said, hey, I'd like to go talk to billionaires. I'd like to tell you about the city of Sacramento. I'd like you to look at us as an investment opportunity. We couldn't have gotten them. But now all of a sudden, because of the leadership of Mayor Kevin Johnson and keeping the Kings, we have really rich people all over the country in that small little club of billionaires that are saying Sacramento is a good investment and I'm going to put my resources into it. I mean, how terrific is that?
I keep applying to that club, and they don't seem to take my application. I don't know. I might just be a few zeros short.
I don't even know what that club is.
You can't spell billionaire. Dennis, I appreciate it very much. We got to take a break. Enjoy yourself today, and this has been great. It's good to come down and see everybody come out, and I hope it's successful and moves us forward.
Yep. Thanks, Jeff. And I am excited about the opportunities in the real estate industry. I think it's kind of percolating up a little bit.
It is a little bit. Yeah. Okay. Good to meet you.
Sure.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
We got to take a quick break. John's got a quiz question for us. We'll get us off there at the mark. We have, Chris, just so you know, down there we've got either some round table pizza if they want to do that, or we have a couple pair of tickets to the Greg Raleigh Band. Greg Raleigh will be up at the Hellwig Winery. They have a little amphitheater up there.
Yes, they do.
September 28th. So if you want those tickets, make sure you're going to be around there. So what do you got for us there, Johnny?
All right. Let's see. A psychologist at the San Juan Unified School District has sold an item at auction for $387,750.
It's a heck of a book.
What did he sell? This is a San Juan Unified School District psychologist. What did he sell on
And he's
auction?
had the item since when? Does it say when he got it?
1977.
Okay, so he's probably retired now. The retired psychologist, San Juan Unified. So that's right in our backyard here, folks.
That's right.
Sold at Christie's auction for how much?
$387,750.
So what did our retired psychologist from the San Juan School District, what did he get over $300,000 for? If you know the answer to that, 339-1140. You can text Chris if you want at 441140. I can't see any text today. And or 1-800-920-1140. This is Talkin' Money. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll do a little more talking down here with the downtownarena.org group. Take your calls and questions if you want to jump in, too. This is Talkin' Money. Jeff Tarbell, John Potter down from 1331 T Street. We'll be right back.
Yeah.
Talkin' Money.
Well, alrighty then. We're back to Talkin' Money with Jeff Tarbell.
Right. How you doing? We are live, 1331 T Street, down at the Builders Exchange building, Sacramento, City of Sacramento. The downtownarena.org, their little get out and volunteer group today. Actually, looks like the group is pretty much breaking up a little bit. We did have a quiz question before the break, and we kind of rushed into it, so I don't think we didn't get a winner yet. So give that out again.
Yeah, so a psychologist at the San Juan Unified School District, a retired psychologist, looks like, Ted Perry, sold an item per auction at Christie's auction for $387,750. He acquired this item in 1977.
Yeah, we'll call it a techie item, I guess would be a good description.
Absolutely.
So what did the retired Sacramento County San Juan School District psychologist sell at Christie's auction for a lot of money? And actually, I could see, I couldn't see spending that kind of money for it, but I could see that those in the billionaire club and shortly down from there would probably want that as a keepsake for sure. So if you get that right, we've got, if you want some Greg Raleigh Band tickets for September 28th, so that's next Saturday, right? Yeah, today's 21st.
Right.
Next Saturday up at Hellwig Winery, up at Amador. So we got a couple pair of tickets for that if you want to go there. If you're not able to do that and want some round table pizza, we can do that as well. John and I are down here helping get the word out from the downtownarena.org group, and they've got a little get out and knock on doors and hang some banners and hang some door hangers, and we grabbed one season ticket worker and a guy that actually works for a living. John and I don't actually really have any gainful employment, but actually looks like so. Carl, how do you say your last name?
Pinio.
Carl Pinio, ironworker, local 118, and season ticket holder for the Kings. How you doing?
I'm doing great today. How you guys doing?
It's Saturday morning. You've been working. You were working all week. You should be hanging out and relaxing and having some breakfast. And you're down here. What gives?
What gives? Well, I'm down here to support my team, the Sacramento Kings. Since I am a season ticket holder, I consider them my team. I consider myself a part owner of the Sacramento Kings.
Maybe that's what we should do. We should do like the Green Bay Packers does. You can buy a share of the Packers. You can buy a share.
Sounds good to me.
Buy a brick. How long have you been a Kings owner?
For over 10 years.
Okay. So not only are you a Kings and interested in having the Kings stay around, but you also so what do you do for the Ironworkers?
I'm an organizer for the Ironworkers in Sacramento.
So this could potentially be. I mean, you talk about not only the one building, the arena, which would certainly have a fair amount of work in it, but we were talking with Dennis Rogers there about all the spin-off, all the office buildings and all the things, the development that comes with it. What does that mean for a group like your group?
Well, it means a lot of work, putting a lot of people back to work. You know, a lot of people in the down economy lost their houses. We got, a couple of members sitting outside our hall that sleep in their vehicles right now because we have not had hardly any work in this region. We had a lot of work down the Stockton area, but that has nothing to do with Sacramento. So we need to try to get as much work as we can to put people back to work.
Yeah. So your group lives and dies by commercial industrial type development.
Correct.
And so at what point did you see things really turn in the economy in your mind for your members, and where did you see, if you look back, where do you see things kind of maybe start to go downhill for you guys?
Well, when things started to go downhill is right after I think it was when into Bush administration, the beginning of the Obama administration, there was a lot of people skeptical of what was going on, and a lot of investors pulled their money back. We had numerous of projects that were shovel ready, but they were just waiting for funding, and without the investors funding the projects, they just didn't go. So everybody was kind of sitting back on the wait and see what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's although not tied directly to the residential decline, but it certainly was a kind of an overwhelming wave of business. So what is your group doing to support this measure, and other than just getting out and knocking on doors? Maybe that's all you can do.
Well, at this time right now, the building trades are guiding us. We're out there knocking on doors, trying to educate people, trying to put a positive twist on the downtown arena, because quite frankly, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for the city of Sacramento. If this doesn't happen and the Kings go away, we miss the opportunity to basically revitalize downtown Sacramento and turn Sacramento into somewhat of a metropolis area. We have the great river here. It'd be great, they're talking about doing like a river walk here, like they have in, I don't know if anybody's been to Portland or to San Antonio with the river walks they have.
And it's not even a real river in San Antonio.
No, it's not, but it's a beautiful place,
Yeah.
So.
Well, Carl, I appreciate you coming down today and coming and saying hi to us, and good luck to all your members, and hopefully they'll have So what is the timeline? Do we know? Is it 15? When are they thinking they can start building without interruption?
Well, the environmental reports are not going to be due back in, I think, until August of 14.
Yeah.
So after they come back, then they'll start the demolition.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, scheduled for right about September 2014.
Yeah, that would be great if that can stay on schedule.
Yeah, it would be great. It will.
Because if you don't think that, and it's such a trickle effect. I mean, you start getting, you guys would be probably one of the first in terms of getting back and either tearing things down or rebuilding them.
Correct.
And the income comes into those guys. And if you don't think that they don't, what always just amazes me is the ripple effect of of putting that much money into. So you give an iron worker income and a big income, and then the guy's not living in his car anymore. He's got to look for a place to rent, and the guy looks for another place to buy, and it just rolls.
It's a trickle down effect that keeps the economy going.
Yeah, it rolls, and it is.
And then he's buying a brand new vehicle because he can afford it now. Like you're saying, now he's back in the mortgage, realm and stuff. He can buy a house, but without jobs, that can't happen.
Nope, I agree with you. Appreciate it, Carl.
All right,
enjoy your day. Get out there and make something happen.
Well, dude, you guys have a great weekend.
Thank you very much.
To have you.
Right.
Chris, did you get a winner yet to your quiz question down there? We did. So, Johnny, what did they give away? Thank you very much.
Yes. So, title is A Fortune for Apple Seeds. So, one of the Apple I computers, 1977. Let's see here. Ted Perry got this computer from Steve Wozniak, helping introduce the first Apple computer. So there are only 200 of them made, and he was able to auction that off for $387,750.
Wow.
Not sure what whoever purchases is going to do with it, but I'm sure they're in the tech world, and it's a treasure.
You own the birth of one of the biggest companies in the world right now, the beginning Apple. So we'll give this to David here. There you go, Dave. We're rolling people in and out today. This group is just kind of dispersing now and getting ready to go out and hit the streets. So we're catching people as we can. Again, we're down here at 1331 T Street. If you want to come by and say hi at us, you're welcome to do that. You can throw stuff at John if you want to. It's fine.
So Ted Perry, who sold that, actually was able to play polo with Wozniak on a Segway. So they were saying playing polo on Segways.
Those Segways are damn dangerous. I'll tell you right now. I had a nasty Segway accident one time. I probably still have the scar on my arm from that thing too. David's joined us. David, Temblador, is that how you
nailed it?
Oh, yeah. Put that right up. There you go. That one is a little different than this one. How are you doing?
I'm doing great this morning. How about yourself, Jeff?
Very good. So what brings? Oh, I know what brings you down here. What is your role? What do you do down here in the city?
Sure. I am on the board of directors of Region Builders, and Region Builders is a partner with Crown Downtown on the DowntownArena.org effort. So that's why we're here this morning, trying to get the word out.
So what is your function within the group normally?
Yeah, well, I'm on the board. We help try to direct some policy. Region Builders is really about, it's going to sound silly, but building the region.
Yeah.
And so we try to help that effort. We're an industry group. Me personally, I'm a land use and environmental attorney. Live in Sacramento and have a business downtown. This is really important to me. Economic development. This project is about economic development, and that's why I'm here.
So I'm looking at that hat on your head, and you look at an area, and I use that city as a phenomenal example of turning something from nothing, which would be the gas lamp district, into what is now an incredibly fun and great area to be around.
Well, Jeff, thanks for asking me about that. Yeah, it's San Diego.
Yep.
Went to school down there. Actually used to live in downtown. Honestly, when they were building the ballpark, I lived 4 blocks from Petco Park at the time. As a young man, I was very involved in that. What an amazing transformation. What an amazing transformation that city went through. And I'm sitting here today, 10 years later, looking at really the beginning of that for Sacramento, $500 million in investment in our urban core. I would love nothing more than if we had the same experience that San Diego had when they got economic development activity, when they got a stadium in their downtown. It's a huge difference, and it's made a huge difference. And nothing more in my life would be happier than to see that happen here in Sacramento.
Yeah, you take so if you're not familiar with kind of the gas lamp district, so I look at a building like this one right across from here, the kind of an old brick building, and there was, I mean, basically the whole downtown was rotted out brick buildings like that. And now you look at them, every one of them has been, redesigned on the inside. Most of them host a restaurant down on the main floor or some sort of a club. The Hard Rock is down there. And some very good friends of mine now are in the right field. They've moved into the right. I mean, just the investment that goes around there. And I say this a few 3 times. I went to college, so I was down there 88 and 89. and
You went to college?
Well, I was in college.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't necessarily wasn't enrolled, but I was water skiing fairly competitively. Although I wasn't very competitive, but I was competing, and so we would end up down in San Diego all the time. And it was a rule that you will not be down in the gas stamp district after it gets dark, and if you are, then you're on your own. And that was 30 years ago for sure. But what turned it around was that massive Petco field that went out there, and then it just lit a fuse through that area down there. And now it is, I don't live in San Diego, but it's one of the places to be, to down there. And all the young people that I know that are down there, they're 20-somethings and the young 30s that are working, all live in these condos that are right by the park. Everything is walking. Boom, boom. They don't even own a car.
Absolutely, that was my case down there. They don't need to. I was back there. I know exactly what you're talking about. You couldn't go out after night. After dark, it was a difficult place. It was on the edge of the neighborhood, and it's changed. It's changed. You see families. You see young people. You see people of all ages, frankly, going to restaurants, going to businesses, doing all kinds of stuff. Not just the ballpark itself, but everything around it.
Yeah, hold that a little closer to you.
Everything around it. That's really what this is about. I mean, not to draw a direct parallel, but we have K Street. This is going to activate K Street. It's going to activate all of the businesses along K Street and around there. You're going to get folks. You're already seeing folks come into town, looking at buildings. You gave the example of some old brick buildings that we're looking at right now. That kind of stuff turns over. Economic activity starts. People start investing in those businesses, and it just changes everything.
Now, did Region Builders were you guys an active group prior to the whole arena discussion?
Absolutely, we've been very active for the last couple of years.
Okay.
Lots of issues, policy issues, both in the city of Sacramento and the county of Sacramento, and really throughout the 5-county region. But if you're going to be involved in the city, if you're going to be a citizen of the city, a business owner of the city, this is the project you need to be involved in because it's so very important for our community.
What else do you guys see? Is there? I mean, obviously this is the monster of the group, but are there other projects that we should be aware of that you think are going out there, or is everybody kind of focused on the big one right now?
Everybody's focused on the big one right now. Without boring kind of your audience,
Mm-hmm. I do that every day, so don't worry about it.
Well, I do it every day too. So, what's really important for us, what we really get involved in, it's not terribly sexy, but regulatory reform, regulations really make it difficult to do things in this state. I know there's been some efforts on this project to try to get some regulations smoothed out, but really that's what we do every day. That's what we do all day long. Is really try to help the regulatory environment so business can succeed, so you can get jobs and the rest. I mean, it's a symbiotic system, right? I mean, we're all in it together.
And that's a good point. Do you see? So we saw some pretty unique moves to get this building kind of moving along. Mm-hmm. So now let's say that John and I want to build, a fairly good-sized restaurant or office across the street. I mean, are we going to see that same kind of cooperation, in your mind, that continues to everybody who wants to develop around there, or are we going to get our butts kicked because the building's done and now we're back?
That's a great question. It's a great question. Honestly, I think you will see a lot of assistance. The process itself is not a straight line. People have a hard time thinking that. I have clients from other parts of the country that come here to California and go, what's going on here? It's not a straight line, but I think the city of Sacramento in particular really wants to see stuff happen, and they're doing everything they can. I know those folks down there, I know the staffers and the folks down there, they do a really good job, and they really, really, really want to see activity. And so the city's got their head on straight. They're trying to do this right, and I think not just the arena, but everything around the arena will find their way to success. So when you open that restaurant, a couple years from now when the arena comes online, it'll be a good experience for you.
Yeah, if I open the restaurant, that's usually the first sign that means I'm just short of bankruptcy. Because either you're making too much money and you're about ready to give it all back, or
right.
And if I'm cooking for you, besides the barbecue in my backyard, then you're not having probably a very decent day.
We'll let Tommy Bahama do that.
Yeah, we'll let Tommy do that. I know Chris down there is probably screaming at me to take a break, so we got to do that. Dave, I appreciate it very much, and even though John lives in Sacramento County, I live in Placer County, but it's such a huge event for our entire region.
Absolutely.
And I have very good friends all the way up in Nevada County, and people that come down all over the place, and they're just keeping their fingers crossed that we can figure out how to make it work down here.
Absolutely. Well, Jeff and John, thank you so much for having me on, and absolutely, I'll say it again, Region Builders are building the region.
Very good.
Perfect.
Appreciate it, Dave.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right, Chris, you want to do another quiz question, John? You want to hold up for the? Yeah, you got one there?
Yeah, I have one here.
Okay. Good to meet you.
See if I can do this properly. So what Americans now eat more of these than ever before.
Yeah.
let's see here, in 200% increase in the past 10 years alone. What do we eat now? 1.5 billion pounds in 2012 of this fruit. Is it a fruit or is it a vegetable?
I think you have to give out the fun name for it, though, this one on this side.
The fun name, this is the hint.
Yes.
The alligator pear.
Alligator pear. So what is the alligator pear? We're eating 200% more of it now than we were before. And you see, and I don't like it.
You don't like it?
See,
I grew up back east, and it wasn't even
wasn't an
in
option?
existence. I mean,
no. It just didn't come across.
What is that?
It didn't come across the river.
It did not.
So maybe it's a West Coast fad. I don't know. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. You can text Chris if you want at 441140. What is the alligator pear? We're eating a boatload of it.
1.5 billion pounds of it.
Oh, geez. Greg Raleigh Band tickets if you want to go there. All kinds of fun things. This is Talkin' Money. My name's Jeff Tarbell.
This is John Foderero, and we're going to be
Jack back.
Talkin' Money.
And we're back to Talkin' Money. And here's Jeff Tarbell.
Right, we are back. We got a little quieter.
Where'd everybody go?
What'd you say? What did you say? We had a quiz question before the break. This is going to be a real short segment because we went a little long in the first hour. But we have hour 2 of 2 today, so hang around. I've got a lot of interesting news, and we'll talk about what happened in the market this last week. Crazy things happened in the market. But we did have a quiz question before the break, and so we're eating 2 billion pounds of something, or what?
1.5 billion pounds of...
That's one hell of a taco.
Of alligator pears.
Alligator pear. What is an alligator pear?
That would be an avocado.
They didn't have avocados back east?
No.
We had chili cheeseburgers and chili cheese fries. That's all we had back in
cheesesteaks.
Cheesesteaks. And I've never had a cheesesteak.
You've never had a cheesesteak?
I have not.
Oh my gosh! Come on now.
No, I have not.
I'm going to take you to get a cheesesteak one day.
But I don't want just like a one at the fair. I want
there's one place right by our office.
There?
Yeah, Philly cheesesteak.
Oh, okay. But I want to go to Philly and have a Philly.
Let's go.
Okay, Philly cheesesteak. They're doing all the marks.
So no avocados though.
No avocados on your Philly cheesesteak. So we did get a winner, and so we have 2 pair of the Greg Raleigh Band tickets for September 28th left. We're going to do that in the next segment. We got to get those out today because that concert is next Saturday, and quite frankly, I got to get them in the mail to you. So we'll take 2 winners during the next break for that. If you want to cover that, I didn't do this as a quiz question, but I thought it was worthy of note because there's just some people you just wish you could meet, and some people are just so phenomenally successful and have just changed the world with their business practices. And one of them passed away this last week, and his name was Eiji Toyoda, Toyoda. And yes, he ran Toyota for his uncle. Believe it or not, his uncle started Toyota, and he ended up he was the nephew. He came in and took it over. And in his 47 years on the market, the Toyota Corolla is the single most popular car in the world. Did you know that?
I did not know that. That was my first car, though.
Was it?
Toyota
There's
Corolla.
40 million of those sold.
It was sweet. Beige, 4-door. It was really nice.
Was it back in Pennsylvania with no avocados?
That's right.
So Mr. Toyota passed this week. He also was the gentleman who started the birth of their luxury brand, Lexus, which came out in 1983. And he passed away this week. He passed away in Toyota City in the Toyota Memorial Hospital. So when you have a city, hospital, and an auto named after your family, you've probably done pretty well.
You're doing something right.
Yeah, back in 1936, the Toyota family changed the name of the vehicle to Toyota back in 36 just to give a little more of a modern feel. So anyway, just a brilliant individual and responsible for in part for the number 1 selling vehicle in the world. I would have guessed, quite honestly, that it was something of a Ford. If you'd asked me what car, just because they were around a little longer. And what's interesting, you read over here, is that what got him inspired is he came out and toured a Ford plant.
That's right.
When he was a young man and came back and said, I think we can do this, but I think we can do it maybe just a little cheaper, a little faster, a little quicker. And I guess he was right. Did $40 million of one model alone. So anyway, interesting individual, and he certainly made a mark on our entire country. Did you catch this? Are you an REI? REI? Do you shop at REI?
Sometimes.
Have you returned anything to REI?
I read that article. That is amazing. So I didn't even know that.
I wouldn't call myself a big REI person. I've been there a few times, but up until this year, REI would take back anything for any reason at any time.
Right.
So
35-year-old tent.
Yeah.
Bring it back, and they're gonna.
Yeah. If it was torn and people would bring back stuff. I didn't like the shoes. They weren't sexy enough or whatever. But for whatever reason, REI would take back anything. They're changing their policy this year. June, the chain announced they would take back items only within a year of purchase, which I still think is phenomenal.
Absolutely.
To do that. So anyway, if you're a REI user, you got a year now to get your stuff back. And lastly, before we take a break, we were talking about jobs here this morning, and that's what one of these events is about. I would not want to be an employee right now for the U.S. Investigations Services out of Falls Church, Virginia. I just wouldn't want to work there. I have a feeling.
Tell me why, Jeff.
I have a feeling they're going to have a series of layoffs coming in pretty soon. So this company was awarded a 5-year, $2.45 billion contract. And what their job was to do background investigations on federal employees. 2 of their background investigations didn't come out so well in the last little bit. One of them was Eric Snowden. He was the guy who turned over, was he the WikiLeaks guy, turned over all of the secrets. And the other one of the people, and this is entirely unfair, I get it, because they investigate tens of thousands, if not millions of people. The other one that they were cleared was the gentleman who was on the Navy Yard massacre this week. And so that's 2 big ones in the newspaper, so that's not so good. Not so good. So the U.S., a few of our legislators have decided maybe we want to relook at that contract. $2.45 billion contract. If that goes away, there might be a small number of layoffs coming your way at the U.S. Investigation Services. So not an easy job for sure, and probably unfair to label them with that, but it happens. And if it's on your watch, that may not be so good. So we'll talk about that. I do want to talk about a couple things when we come back. We are in the city of Sacramento. We're going to do a little real estate, little finance thing when we come back. The city of Sacramento, if you want to buy a home down here, and your income is what I consider in the median range, which is somewhere between $60,000 to $80,000, depending on your household size. There are some phenomenal programs down here. You can get into something for about 0.5% down. We'll talk about that when we come back, too. How are we done on time, Chris? You want to take a break there for the top of the hour? Okay, let's do that. This is Talkin' Money. John and Jeff are down here at the 1331 T Street. We're at the Builders Exchange building, and we're going to be back for hour number 2 of 2. Hang on, and we'll take your calls and questions if you want to. We'll be right back, Jack.
Talkin' Money.
And we're back. It's Talkin' Money with Jeff Tarbell.
Right. Just don't take a big drink of Diet Pepsi right before you're supposed to come back on, because it'll come right back up. How are you doing? We're 2 of 2. We are down at the Builders Exchange building, 1331 T Street, downtown Sacramento. And it's gotten kind of quiet here as the group is out hitting the streets now. And they are passing out some petitions and trying to get you to, if you signed up for a petition to move for a vote on the arena, they want you to remove your name from that. If you didn't, well, particularly if you didn't sign up or maybe were given the wrong information and maybe you weren't. So we'll see. We had some good speakers during the first hour. We'll move over to hour 2 of 2 today. We'll get back into what we normally do, which is obscure piles of nothing. How you been?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm doing great.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks for asking.
I mean, we've been talking to everybody else.
The first hour kind of zipped on by.
You said like 3 words the whole time, and I said maybe 5. So I was like, let's call it a good hour.
It's just pretty interesting, when you talk about the arena, and I don't know, it's still, to me, it's mind-boggling that someone wouldn't want it to happen in Sacramento.
Yeah, but to me, it's not mind-boggling, because, and I don't know that there's always going to be a no group, a no group,
sure.
And I just wish that like in all politics, that people are more honest about why they're against it, and so if you just don't want it because you just want us to remain the town like it was when you grew up 50 years ago, that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I get that, and be honest about it. But to put up some other reasons, and maybe they're legitimate, maybe they're not. I don't know. But we'll find out. But I do think that it is you'll look back on this next year in the history of this city, and it'll be a mark. It'll be a red flag, and it'll either be a red flag where we made a turn right and we did something different, or we made a turn left and we went another direction. Obviously, and you'll be able to look back on that and say that was the point in which this city, made a critical move. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the city will go to hell in a handbasket if they don't do the arena, because it will not. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it'll be the greatest city on the face of the earth if we do the arena, because it will not. But it will be a significant change in event. And I thought that Dennis Rogers, who was the vice president of the chamber, made a very good comment that I haven't heard and didn't think about, which was, hey, Jeff, you're 47 years old. What the hell you're going to do in the next 15 or 20 years doesn't really matter as much as it matters the guy that's 25 and 27 who's looking around saying, where do I want to establish a business? Where do I want to raise my family? And we need those young people coming into our area or staying here and raising families. And if you have a house that you want to sell someday, you need to sell it to somebody. You look at a lot of the articles that talk about just immigration, and you look at California, which has had a tremendous amount of legal and illegal immigration coming into it. But a lot of the real estate in our area is going to be purchased by somebody in the future, hopefully. And so you start, I always say, be careful what you wish for. You tell people that are anti-immigration, we don't need people here, we don't need this here. Well, guess what? Those people have kids, they grow up, they buy houses, they do things too, and we need people to buy our houses when we get older. And so we need people to come in here, young people, people from other states, people from other countries, and that is how we're going to, this area is going to build. So I thought he made a very good point about where young people look, and I would go one step further, and you say to yourself, so at some point in time, I've got 3 daughters, they're going to go to college and going to go away and do something. Hold on, let me not do the knock on wood.
Do something.
As difficult as that's, quite frankly, that's going to be to watch my girls move out of the house and do their own thing. At some point in time, you and your wife have got to look around and say, okay, now what do we want to do? Because you're not retirement age, but I don't necessarily want to live on a couple acres. And we've looked at the downtown area and said, if something like this comes, and you actually have an area that has all kinds of events going on at not only at a new proposed arena, but at the convention center, and you have these vibrant restaurants and these different things that get attracted to it, then maybe that'd be a nice place to be. I mean, we don't necessarily want to leave the area, maybe, other than tax purposes, maybe we do. But so it's a draw down there, and not only does it draw the young people, it just draws life down to it, and there just isn't any down there right now. I just can't name one reason why I would want to go downtown right now to do anything, unless I had to come down today for some business, or to West Sac to catch a game. I mean, there just isn't anything else. I mean, being along the river is cool sometimes. You can catch a restaurant, but there isn't that draw. And look at the Westfield Galleria in Roseville, and the fountains across the street. They're mini versions of a big version. And when that Galleria went in there, which was really out damn near in the middle of nowhere, right, at the time.
Sure.
Now go out to the Westfield Galleria and look around what's around there. It is the hub of Placer County. And hell, the hub of Placer County, people come from all over the place to go there. And then you got the casino a little farther out that's drawing people from the Bay Area and things too. So you got to give people a reason to come. I mean, and if you tell me we'd rather spend the money on our schools and our fires, and there isn't any money there yet. You got to get the money. I was in San Francisco on Monday, stayed in a hotel for business. I was there for no purpose other than I had one meeting on Tuesday morning, so I stayed Monday night. That damn bill on the hotel, was 25% of it was in fees and taxes that were for, infrastructure and stadiums, or I don't know what it was for. It was like some kind of entertainment type thing. So a lot of those things can be funded. That's new money that comes in from people staying in our area, coming into the area to bring new money to the area that you don't have right now. Money you can spend on other things. So I don't know. I just I understand both sides of the issue. I think I understand both sides of the issue, but I just think that if you're not growing, you're dying. I say the same thing about our own business. I mean, our industry right now the mortgage industry is going down in a downward spiral, and I use that spiral, not downward slide quickly, and you're starting to see massive changes in people laying off. Chase and Wells and B of A, and I mean, you name it, they're laying off in the thousands of people because the volume isn't there, and you're either growing or dying. So you're going to see, in the same thing in our world, you're going to see people coming together, small companies coming together to form, bigger entities. And so I use that term all the time. If you're not going forward, you're going backwards. So I think this will be an interesting point in time for our area. And I just wish it wasn't all on the backs of a small number of people in the city of Sacramento. I wish there was a way that you could take that nut, that cost, and say, hey, look at Sacramento County, Placer County, El Dorado County, Yolo County, Nevada County, Sutter County. You all come here and do these things. You guys help out. And maybe you do it through the seat tax or some other taxes on the tickets. Maybe there's a better way to do that. But this is certainly a regional issue. So anyway, enough about that. It'll be what it'll be. I hate that statement, but it'll become very clear pretty quick how it's going to go. I did mention that we are sitting here in the city of Sacramento, and as what are you seeing as far as the market? I'm seeing more opportunities for homeowners. I mean, in terms of more product on the market. Are you seeing the same thing on your end?
I've been talking a lot about it in the past week, and I'm confused. I mean, every area is so different and changing so much. We're seeing, West Sac, Elk Grove with still, 20, 30 offers.
Okay.
And then we're seeing in, other various areas where, price reductions.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I can't even put a real statement towards it. I'm not quite sure.
I'm not either. And I guess one of the disadvantages that you and I have is we're not out there selling homes. I mean, we're getting kind of the second feedback, right? I mean, we're hearing from our clients, geez, I can't find anything, or my offer wasn't accepted. But I am starting to feel like that there is some more opportunities coming on. And I guess I feel that because I've had this big list of home buyers that have been shopping, and now it seems like every morning one more person gets, hey, I finally got my offer accepted. Hey, I found something. So I'm starting to see that picking up a little bit, which can only tell me that there's something to buy.
Right.
So that's starting to change a little bit too. And I'm also noticing is I'm starting to see, like we did early on, we're starting to see some appraisal issues again. And I don't know whether that's because, people are getting a little too carried away in terms of their offers, or they have to get too carried away because they have to beat somebody else out, or the seller is getting a little greedy for what they want, or some combination thereof. But starting to see some, appraisals coming in a little short again, not in mass quantity, but for a while there, I mean, it's just, everything was just coming in at value, and now I think that. So I'm not sure if the appraisers have made a change a little bit where they're starting to look at some areas and saying, hey, you know what, I can't add a little premium to it because I know the market is growing and growing. I have to kind of take that back out of the equation. But it's interesting, and I think that we're going to see more of that unless the seller, one of the two has to change. Either the buyer has to say, look, I'm just not going to pay more than the next guy right now. I'm not going to keep running that price up, or the seller is going to have to be willing to accept something, a little less than what they were asking. Something's going to change because, quite frankly, and I get this all the time. Well, Jeff, why do we even need an appraisal? We have a willing seller. John's willing to sell me his house for $500,000, and I'm willing to buy it for $500,000. That is the price. Right. Well, that's the price if you want to pay cash to John. But if you're asking me to finance the $500,000 for you, then who's really at risk?
Right. The collateral.
Yeah.
All about the collateral.
Right. The lender's at risk. So we had, for a little run there for a while, I had a lot of my clients were putting in the difference in cash. I mean, if it was $20,000 short or $10,000 short in the value, they were putting it in on top of their loan amount. And you know what? Perfect. Your neighbors are going to love you for that.
Yeah, I think there's more options now. People are starting, because of the increase in inventory, people are kind of looking and going, well, do I offer $15,000 over here, or do I go next door and maybe look at this new build or this other resale home?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It'd be interesting if you're out there shopping and you're seeing the same thing or not seeing the same thing. I'd love to hear from you. 339-1140 today, or if you're a realtor out there selling some stuff, because I always try to quiz them a little bit. What you see, but you're right. I mean, many realtors will concentrate. They'll become real experts on a segment. I'm not gonna say a neighborhood, but maybe a zip code or a certain segment, and they really know that area, so they can see what's going on in their little box, but they don't look around the whole area as much.
Yeah, I've seen recently too a lot of the upper end homes, 600 to $1.8 million, selling.
Yeah,
these things are moving, and
in fact, that's a good article. We'll take a break here in just a second too, Chris. I just pulled this out as you said that. The increase in sales this year of existing homes priced at $1 million and above compared with a year ago is up 25%. So those home prices are actually doing very, very well. Well, I should say the buyers are doing well. And there's two things that go into that. One of them is that generally, and this is a generalized statement, but generally someone who's shopping in that $1 million to $2 million range probably is less economically affected by swings in the economy. They're either in a job that is just plugging away doing its own thing, or they've got sufficient funds to put down. It doesn't really matter as much. And secondly, I think what I've seen just from watching some of these listings, not that I'm shopping in that price range, but there's some really good deals in those price range for that buyer. They're looking around going, man, that was a house that was like $2.2 million, right. And now I'm picking it up for $1.5 million, or there's some pretty good deals there in that range. So those buyers are jumping on them, and second homes too in that range.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
It's interesting. When I come back, I do want to talk to you about some of the programs that are available, particularly down here in the city of Sacramento, and there's some other areas that do similar programs as well that can get you into your first property or your next property. And we'll talk about that when we come back too. Let's do you have another quiz question there for us?
Yeah, I'm going to pull this one out. So Forbes came out with their 400 richest Americans are now worth $2 trillion.
400 people?
400
Jeez.
people, $2 trillion. So
if you divide that by $2 trillion, that's a lot. That's the answer, a lot.
So I'm going to make it easy. What is the average net worth of a Forbes 400 member? Average net worth of a Forbes 400 member.
I don't think I have that much in my wallet.
And it's also the highest ever.
That's the average?
Yep.
Now, do you have to be, is that United States only or in the world?
That is, I believe it's worldwide.
Okay. So 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. You can text us at 441140. What is the average net worth to make it to the Forbes 400 wealthiest individuals in the world? I've got 2 pair of Greg Raleigh Band tickets for September 28th at the Hellwig Winery up in Plymouth, Amador County. Yeah, Plymouth, right? Bedee, and Amador County. So we'll give those away too. And if you can't make the concert, we got some round table pizza for you as well. Chris will take your calls down there. We'll take your questions at 339-1140 or 1-800-920-1140. This is Talkin' Money. He's John, I'm Jeff, and we're going to be
right back, Jack.
Talkin' Money.
And the action continues on Talkin' Money with Jeff Tarbell.
Right, we are back. How you doing?
Good, hanging out in the parking lot.
Yeah. I was expecting a little bit of rain. I guess we didn't. If we were out there, it would be rainy. We're in here, it's cool.
That's right.
Chris, did you get anything close to a winner on that last one? Nope. So to be on the Forbes 400 wealthiest Americans list, you need to have an average net worth of about how much? 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140.
It's in the billions.
In the billions, yeah. Not high in the billions, but it's in there.
Right.
So we'll give away some Greg Raleigh tickets if you want for that, for the Hellwig Winery, or you have some round table pizza. Either way, so we'll let that hang out there for a little bit and see if you get the answer to that. John and I are down at 1331 T Street. This is the Builders Exchange building. As the downtownarena.org group is out canvassing the streets right now. And as I mentioned earlier in the show, we being in the city of Sacramento has some unique privileges if you want to buy a house down here. And a couple of these programs are available outside the city, and some other cities like Citrus Heights and Roseville sometimes have some of their own programs that are mimic this. But it's very unique if you want to be down here, because if you needed to get into a house, you qualify for a house, but you just don't have the money for the down payment, which is usually the biggest hurdle. A couple unique programs that are down here you can look into, and these are for incomes that are, we would call 120% of the median income. So generally, like for a couple, that's about 60 grand. 60 grand for an individual, maybe 70 for a couple, 80 for a household. That's a lot of money. Mm-hmm. The first one is the CHDAP program, the down payment assistance program, which they can use. That one will give you, so you use that in conjunction with the FHA, that'll give you 3%, right, to use for the down payment. Well, FHA is only 3.5% to begin with.
Or closing costs you can use it for, too.
Yeah, or closing costs. So you can get in that one with a 0.5% down of your own funds. And the one we started to kind of meshing that up with is the program, which is, albeit is temporary. Now, and I don't know what temporary means.
Until they run out of money.
Yeah, right. I just don't know how long we were looking at. But if you recall back when we had some of the meltdown issues, a lot of these lenders were forced to either pay a penalty or pay a fine or put some money away, or they did some short sales. They did some loan modifications. Well, Wells Fargo, as part of that transition or part of that payback, if you will, Wells Fargo came up with a plan to put some money with various cities, and they've given it to different organizations in the city. In this case, it's NeighborWorks, I think, right?
Correct.
And Wells Fargo has given NeighborWorks a big sum of money to use at their discretion for a program called the LIFT, L-I-F-T. The program's pretty unique because the LIFT program will give you somewhere on average of about 15 grand to utilize for the purchase of a home. Now, you cannot use it for the down payment, but you can use it for closing costs. No? You can only use it for loan reduction? Okay. I thought they would let you use it for some of their...
No.
Okay, so all you can do is you can use it as a buffer. So
additional down payment.
Additional down payment incentive. Yeah. Okay. So I'm glad John was here. I might have given some of the wrong information this week.
Well, originally when it came out, they were saying it could be used for closing costs, could be used for down, could be used for everything, and it's come up where it's just down payment. There may be in certain cities the ability, depending on the investor, to use it for other sources, but here in Sacramento, additional down payment. Additional down payment.
Okay. So here's an example then. So let's say John finds a house for 200. Let's make easy numbers, 215 grand. And John only qualifies for 200. Well, you can utilize the $15,000 lift program as kind of a silent second, right?
Yeah, it goes away within 5 years.
Yeah, so you're not having to qualify for any payment on it. There isn't a payment on it. And if you keep the property as your primary residence for 5 years or more, there is no repayment of it. So it is, for all intents and purposes, free money if you follow the rules.
Right.
So it can make a fairly substantial difference between a $200,000 house and 215 to getting into something as well. So
it has to be in the city of Sacramento, in the city.
Right, in the city. And there are other cities that do it. You can look at the LIFT program. Atlanta and some other big cities do it as well. But so down here, so it does give you that little boost to get you kind of maybe up and above where you were kind of maxed out at qualifying, or even if you're not maxed out and you just want to keep your payment a little bit lower. It's 15 grand you don't have to pay on.
Yeah, I've had it in some with lower prices where they were able to actually have 20% down payment with that and not even have mortgage insurance. So lots of different ways to
piggy those up together. Yeah, so it's an interesting program. So the CHDAP program is in fact down payment assistance or closing cost assistance, and the LIFT program gives you really a lift. It gives you a little extra boom there. And didn't somewhere I read you can go beyond 15 up to 40, but I don't know if I figured out how you got there. So I'd probably keep it at 15 in your mind, but there was some example of where they were able to get a little bit more, and I don't know how they did that.
Yeah, I'm not aware.
And it was a funny, John and I were just talking about before the break, that was a funny program because when it first came out, you do have to attend, I think both for CHDAP and for the LIFT, you have to attend a kind of a home buyer seminar.
Right.
And you can sign up to do that. But when they first came out with that, everybody showed up. They wanted all this free money, and there just wasn't anything to buy.
Right. Yeah, and I think a lot of it was, not a lot of information on it, but I know they were lined up at the convention center for their free $15,000 to go towards buying a house. And as the details came out, it kind of changed a little bit. And then obviously, too, if you get a 60-day hold on the money, you're out looking, you can't find one, it's a little difficult. So.
Yeah. It's an interesting program, but it is something to think about. The other one that I've heard now advertising quite a bit, which is the Keep Your Home California. They're pretty aggressive on their marketing right now, and I'm trying to figure out why. But maybe they have money to put into place. The Keep Your Home California is the program in which if you already own a home, you can apply for, in conjunction with them, you can apply for some assistance to them. So if you've had a job layoff or you've had some sort of economic impact, that program tries to do one of two things. It tries to either give you some money to offer to your existing lender in conjunction in hopes that they will match it or do something else to kind of buy down the principal balance a little bit. And that's a good example of, if you're upside down, to try to get you maybe back in line. They'll also do some payment assistance, and they'll do some other things for you as well. I had a client that came in this week who is now selling his home, had to utilize that program. He was off, was injured last year, and used the program, and they did. They put up about $15,000 for him in payments they made while he was off, which was pretty cool. Now he's selling the property now, and that was recorded as a lien against the property. But he was telling me that this was kind of the battle they were going through mentally. If they'd have stayed there 3 years, I think it was, the money was forgiven. So they're going to go ahead and sell them and move on and do something else now. But they were thinking maybe we should just stay here a little longer and keep the money. But that's an interesting program, and it is something you should look into if you're having some challenges making your house payment and keeping that going on, or if you're trying to, I would use a good example. If you have a second, this kind of that second is making you kind of over the hump in terms of qualifying for refinance. It's putting you upside down. You might be able to offer a little carrot to your second mortgage holder, say, hey, here's some money I can get my hands on. If you guys can forgive the balance, there might be a way to help you out too. And that's the Keep Your Home California program. That is a very unique program. I'd be interested to see how long that program hangs around. Again, probably until it runs out of funding, which I don't know, what their funding is, but interesting. We had a fairly unique week. What day was that?
Unique. Wednesday.
Was it Wednesday? Yeah.
Wednesday the 18th.
So Wednesday the 18th. So how are we doing on time? We'll probably got to take a break here in just a minute, too. Chris, you want us to take a break? How are we doing there on your end? We got a couple minutes. Okay, we'll talk about this and we'll come back and cover some new things, too. But so Wednesday, about 2 p.m., I guess it was, our time here, or maybe it was 2 p.m. back there, 11 here, either way. Everybody kind of was holding their breath and really, I think, expected the Fed to come out and say, we're going to continue marching forth with our program of not supporting treasuries and not supporting mortgage-backed bonds. We're going to kind of, continue to wind our way down in this acquisition of what they call QE3 or QE2 or QE5, whatever one we're on now. Can't keep track of the numbers anymore. And so that was the expectation, that the Fed would say, well, we're going to keep on keeping on. And they came out with something that wasn't quite to that level, right?
It was a shocker for everyone.
Yeah, so basically what they said was, well, the way the market interpreted it was, maybe things are slowing down a little bit, and maybe it's because of us, meaning the Fed, and maybe we should slow down on this idea a little bit. And I wouldn't even call it, I didn't read the exact verbiage line by line. I wouldn't call it a statement by the Fed saying we're going to stop doing this. We're going to keep buying. It just was a little bit of a tempered view of we may have to stay in here a little longer than we thought. And immediately rates dropped. Well, throughout the end of that day, almost a quarter point.
Right. In rate,
the stock market rallied
tremendously.
Yeah. And it
hit the highest all time, didn't it?
Well, I think it did temporarily, or maybe for that closing for that day. The next day, Thursday, it kind of backed down a little bit. So it was interesting.
Yesterday, it fell apart.
And yesterday, it came apart a little bit, too. So you can see that we're on such a tenuous string right now. Everybody's just kind of waiting for what's going to happen. I think the next couple days, you saw Thursday and Friday, you saw Ben Bernanke came out and said, I didn't really say we were going to stop doing this, but I mean, the guy can't break wind without causing a market. I mean, anything he does is going to be over scrutinized. So it's just ridiculous.
Sure. Three or 4 months ago, he made said a couple words where interest rates went up a point and a quarter. Rate.
Yeah, over the last 100 days for sure.
I mean, and then all of a sudden, the government comes out and says, well, we're going to continue to assess the data to see if we should begin, pulling back maybe $5 or $10 billion a month.
Yeah, and they've also made another switch, which is kind of a behind-the-scenes switch. But what they've decided to do is we're going to slow down buying the treasuries, but we're going to keep buying what's called the MBS, and MBS means mortgage-backed securities, which are really the mortgages that we're selling to the market. So they're going to keep trying to buy those to try to help keep the rates down a little bit, but they are going to back off on the treasuries a little bit. So it's kind of an obscure way of trying to stay in the game a little bit, but it's interesting. It was an interesting week. We can talk about that some more when we come back. I know John's got another quiz question he wants to get out there. Chris, did we how many tickets have we given away for the Greg Raleigh Band? Okay, so we've got 2 pairs. We got to give those away here too. So we'll get 2 winners for Greg Raleigh, September 28th at the Hellwig Winery, and this is a sold-out concert. So if you do win tickets from me, get there early because you want to get there early just for parking. So what do you got there?
So we're talking about airlines and travel. Have you looked at airline tickets lately?
No.
It's unbelievable. Just crazy prices.
Yeah? All these luggage fees and stuff, man.
Exactly. Anyhow, we're talking about airlines and travel.
What about POW Air? Is that on your list there?
POW Air?
Uh-huh.
POW Air is doing very well. So I hear.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't had the fortune. Anyhow, we're talking about airport arrivals.
Okay.
And the question I have is name one of the top 3 airlines with on-time arrivals. There's a bunch of articles in the last couple weeks regarding how all these airplanes are not on time.
Okay. So we're not talking about the airport. We're talking about the airline.
That's right. We're going with the airline.
Okay, so you want the one that's like the worst arrival or the best?
Either or.
Okay.
Either or. So the top 3, one of the 3 best or one of the 3 worst as far as on-time arrivals.
Okay. Yeah, I know.
Let me tell you that the U.S. average of on-time arrivals is 75%.
Really?
Yeah.
So you can be
25% of your flights are not on time.
And that's considered that's the average, not the best.
That's
okay.
the average.
So name let's pick one end of the spectrum or another. Let's pick the worst.
Okay.
Let's pick the worst. So name one of the top 3 worst airlines in terms of on-time arrival. And I think one of them was like 40% of the time they're just not there. So if you know the answer to that, 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140, because there's only like 8 airlines total, so if you pick both sides of it, just pick out a name. So name one of the 3 worst airlines for arriving on time. If you know the answer to that, we'll give you a pair of tickets to the Greg Raleigh Band, who's going to be September 28th at the Hellwig Winery Outdoor Amphitheater. Great place to go up there and hang out. The weather's going to be perfect lately. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. You can text us at 441140. Jeff Tarbell, John Farrero, we're coming to you live from the Builders Exchange at 1331 T Street. We're going to be
right back. Jack.
Talkin' money, talkin' money.
Well, alrighty then. We're back to Talkin' Money with Jeff Tarbell.
right, our final segment of the day. And we do have 1 pair of Greg Raleigh Band tickets available left. We're not even going to make you answer the question, although we will give out the answer to John's question there. But if you are available and would like to go see the Greg Raleigh Band on September 28th, which is a week from today, at the Hellwig Winery up in Amador County, it will be, I guarantee you, it will be a great event, and it will be, it's just a phenomenal venue. So if you're able to do that and you want to go, and you have not won something from us in the last 6 months, then give Chris a call right now at 339-1140 and give him your name and address, and I will get those tickets out to you pronto on Monday. And you also get one of our cool Talkin' Money beer koozies. And although we do promote alcoholism here, I should say we don't. We do. What the heck? We do. Well, we did have a quiz question before the break. We were talking about airlines. So give me your three best. Like who's the best?
Alaska.
On the on time.
Alaska.
See, that's okay.
We're back. So the top three best airlines as far as on-time arrivals: U.S. Airways, Delta, and Alaska is 85% of the time on time.
That surprises me. They fly in some pretty nasty weather. Okay, so who were the three worst? Because I didn't recognize two of them.
Spirit.
Okay.
Spirit Airlines apparently is on time 53% of the time.
So that's not always on time.
And then JetBlue.
That surprises me.
Yeah.
You know, they fly into New York, though, a lot, so that could just be because of the airport or the weather.
And then Allegiant, which I've never even heard of before.
I haven't either.
So I'm not quite sure. But, yeah, that's the summer scorecard for on-time arrivals. If you want to be on time, fly Alaska. If you're not too concerned, go Spirit.
Go Spirit. There you go. So there's your quiz ones. We were talking about automobiles earlier, and when Mr. Toyota passed away, and 40 million Corollas have been sold. There you go. Oh, you got your beer koozie with your Diet Pepsi. Perfect. U.S. car sales have now exceeded the pre-recessionary sales volume at 1.5 million vehicles sold as of August 2013 for the year. So that is, let's see here, so versus December. Yeah, so that's the highest point in recent history for auto sales, which surprises me a little bit, because if you're telling me the economy is maybe not doing so great, and that must be monthly sales, because they're showing monthly charts here, so that's probably for the month of August. More imports than domestic cars being sold, though, at least last month. But you can't. How do you on the one hand say that the economy is not growing, and yet you see car sales at all kind of a record pace, which either tells you one of two things: everybody's been holding on to just a big pile of crap vehicle for a long time, which is probably the case, or you're seeing some screaming good deals, from dealers now having to or manufacturers having to give away, rebates to cars, or maybe the market's picking up. I mean, maybe the economy is better than we think in some cases. So I don't know. It's interesting, but car sales are back above, and that's probably the only thing that's back above the pre-recessionary sales lump. So, did you buy a new car yet this week?
I have not.
You have not?
No. Every time I look at that car payment, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, this one's okay.
This one's okay.
Whenever I want a new car, I just can take mine over and have it detailed and put some gas in it.
There you go.
And when it's full of gas,
again?
when it feels full of gas and it smells good, hey, not so bad. Not so bad.
I like that.
Yeah, so that's a technique there.
So you got two options: $500 a month, or you get your car washed in a tank of gas.
That's it. I did see. If you caught this or not, but the National Association of Realtors came out this week and said, well, home sales are declining. We're talking about new contracts being drafted, and they're blaming it on not enough new homes. This was their kind of their answer, which was particularly out west, which was, it's not a problem with buyers. The problem is a problem with not enough product. So an interesting take on that from the Association of Realtors, why they think there aren't enough home sales, or why home sales are going down. I would probably agreed with that 6 months ago. I'm not, maybe they're looking backwards and not forwards here, but I'm not so sure now that I would necessarily blame it on that. You deal more with a new home builder. What are they seeing? Because last time I talked to you, you were like, these guys are starting to get a little worried again.
Yeah, I think it's steady as it goes right now, and some of them are seeing appreciation. So they're still full bore ahead, looking at taking out takeouts and getting started. And
yeah, but they're. I was talking to a guy on Monday. Well, actually, while I was in San Francisco, and he does a lot of mass grading. I mean, they're just kind of a big contractor for big subdivisions, those kind of things too. And he said, man, particularly in our area here, but a lot in Northern California, they're just not seeing big projects get underway for big subdivisions. What you're seeing is a builder saying, okay, look, I either bought 10 finished lots, and they're starting, and I don't blame them, not one bit, but they're starting, 10 homes. Yep. They're not starting a subdivision of 110 homes.
Absolutely.
And when those 10 homes are finished and sold, then I'll start another 10.
I mean, some of them are still finishing projects that, started in years ago.
Yep.
So they're finishing those out first, and then they're doing the smaller projects, 10, 12, 14, 16. In our area, we're going to start to see some in Folsom and then out again in Roseville. But we're looking at, I believe, 14 and 15 until they get going.
And part of that may just be financing. Because, unless and some of these builders are pretty well established, and of course the national builders have a fair amount of money, but a lot of banks are not willing to extend you credit to do a whole subdivision of stuff. So you probably, maybe you bought these lots, paid cash for them, in case they got a steal on them if you bought them a few years ago. But yeah, you may only be able to do whatever you can finance out of pocket. You may not be able to get any, quote unquote bank financing to finance the construction of a house. So. And I am starting to see, getting more calls now on people who want to go out and build their own house again. And that's interesting because most of the people are looking at it, the ones that I'm hearing from are saying, I'm going to buy this lot now, I'm going to spend the next couple of years paying it off, and I'm going to build the house, a few years from now down the road. And, but I get probably more construction calls now than I have in a long time. You still have the challenge of having to deal with an appraisal, and it's interesting because what has not gone down, the land prices have gone down a lot in some cases, but what has not gone down is the cost of raw materials and the cost of labor. And you would think that I could find any contractor I want right now, and the only ones that are around are the good ones that people kept hired, and they want their price. Right? I mean, they're not going to come work for free. And sure as heck, concrete and lumber and roofing material, that stuff has not gotten cheaper. So you're in a situation where you're still competing with a resale house in terms of price. I'm talking about final value. And you're not going to be able to build something new for what you can buy something existing for. And I know they're not apples for apples because it's your plan and it's way better, but it's also new and it's expensive. So you're going to have to, I caution most of the people that are looking to build their own homes, be prepared to own that lot free and clear so that you have equity going in,
right?
Going into the deal. That's going to be very, very important. So, but we are starting to get more of those calls, and I think that's a good sign as people are looking down the road a little bit too, because they think they can actually sell their house and get a little bit of money out of it, in some cases too. So, that was from the National Association of Realtors. Here you go. Refinance index has fallen 64.2% from its peak. So that means refinancing is down 2/3 from what it was. And purchases are picking up a little bit, not picking up all that slack. So if you start to see some people that are in the industry, and our industry is like anything else too, there's a big bleed off. I mean, it's not only is it the person who you're doing loans with, but it's the title people that we hire, it's the appraisers. There's a big group of people supporting the mortgage business, your processors, your staff people, and you're starting to see, some of those jobs coming to an end because there just isn't the volume there to do it. And so that is going to, that's a big segment of our population. That's going to have a bleed off effect on unemployment rates. You're going to see, it hasn't hit just yet, but it's going to trickle down, and you're going to see this industry is going to start to weigh on the unemployment numbers. So, and the unemployment numbers are weighing on the rates. They're going back and forth. Right. So it's like as the unemployment gets better, meaning less people unemployed, rates start creeping up a little bit, which causes more unemployment. So it is a yo-yo.
We call it a roller coaster.
Yeah, it is a yo-yo of all yo-yos. That's for darn sure. So anyway, we had a good time down here today too. And if you want more information on what's going on down here, the downtownarena.org is the group who is down here, and they're out there canvassing the streets in the city of Sacramento. So good luck to them. If you're in favor of the arena, you can support them. And if you're not, then I guess you can call the stop group and you can support them. And if you're a billionaire and you're trying to buy your own NBA team, you probably should keep your hands in your pocket and let it play out on its own. So we'll be back next Saturday for our final 2-hour show. We're going back now that the NFL is back up and going. We're going to go back to 1 hour. So next week will be our final 2-hour show. We'll be back to 1 hour in October, and continuing on then from then on out. So
doing the 9 o'clock hour, right?
Yeah, from 9 to 10. We'll stay in the 9 to 10 o'clock hour in October and on. So we'll have to do a 2-hour show in 3 breaks. We can do it.
We can do it.
We can do it. So you can find John Fodorero at Comstock Mortgage during the week. JFod.com. What is your?
John at johnfod.com.
John at johnfod.com. And you can find this show on the Facebook page for Talkin' Money. My name's Jeff Tarbell at jefftarbell.com. We'll see you next Saturday, everybody. Be cool, be dry, and pray for snow, brother. Let's get it to be time.
That's right.
We'll see you pretty soon. Aloha.
Talkin' money.